Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is part 2 of my exposure triangle series and I'm going to be talking about shutter speed. In my previous video, I had talked about aperture and how it affects your photos. So today I'll be covering the topic of shutter speed. Okay, so what is shutter speed? Shutter speed is basically the amount of time you allow the light to fall on your camera sensor. So before I talk more about it, let me tell you how the camera works. So inside your camera, if you take off your lens, and I'm assuming you might have a DSLR, point and shoot cameras work slightly differently, but most of the principles are still same. You allow the light to fall on your sensor, and then it captures the photo. So in front of your sensor, you have an element. It's a thin element called shutter, and in front of that shutter, if you take DSLRs, then you will have a mirror. Now that mirror is what helps you see the image in your viewfinder, the optical viewfinder. And when you're using a LCD or live view, then that is when the mirror goes up. So whenever you are trying to take a photo, before the photo is taken, the mirror basically goes up, and the thin element that is there in front of your sensor, it opens and closes very rapidly. And the amount of time it allows light to fall on your sensor is basically what is called as shutter speed. Again, this is in very simple terms. The technical definition will be more elaborate. Okay, so what do you do with shutter speed? Shutter speed is basically used for two things in my view. One is you can depict the motion, and the other thing being you can freeze the motion. So I would talk about the third aspect, which is more about controlling light. But let me talk first about freezing or showing the motion. Okay, so let's say you are doing action photography. Again, I'll go back to the example of a football game or a tennis match or any winter sports or people surfing uh, in the water. So, in these cases, people are moving around, the objects are moving, and if you allow too much light to fall on the sensor, it will basically capture all that motion, and the resulting photo will be very blurry because in 1 second the person might have moved from one place to the other. The ball would have moved from one part of the field to the other part of the field, and in these cases having a slower shutter would not help. So in action photography, or where you want to freeze the motion, let's say you want to capture drops of water falling from a pipe, or you are just pouring water from a glass to another bowl, and you want to capture that motion, that is where you will use a faster shutter. Let's say 1 by 800th of a second, or somewhere around this mark, where you want to freeze the motion. Now, where would you use a slower shutter? So, slower shutter can be used, let's say you want to photograph waterfalls and you want to create that dreamy effect or a milky effect. Now, water is transparent, but if you have seen photos of touristy waterfalls, then you see that dreamy effect coming in. So, that is where you would want to use a slower shutter. Okay, so in this example, I have three objects, two AAA batteries and one iPhone charger. Now, one other use of shutter speed that I normally see or have experience is that you can add or reduce the amount of light that is falling on your sensor. So, in other ways, if your aperture and ISO and other settings are not changing, you can still use the shutter speed to increase or reduce the amount of light. So I'll just show you an example of, if I reduce the shutter speed to, let's say, I'm reducing it to a value of 8 on my screen. Now you see the image is looking very bright, and the more I reduce that number, the brightness keeps on increasing. Whereas if I go towards the right, the brightness is reducing, and at one point the screen would become dark. So my aperture is at the widest opening, which is 3.5, but I can still use the shutter speed to change the amount of light. So let me take a picture here. Okay, so I am using the value of 30 on the shutter speed, and the aperture is f by 3.5. So let me take a photo. Now, because of the wider aperture, some things in the photo would be out of focus. So if I move my pointer here, if you see, the charger is not very much in focus, whereas the two batteries are somewhat in focus. So in this case, there is no motion or there is no movement, but let me give you an example of what happens when I use this shutter speed and there is some movement. So I'll just use this battery. I'll try to move it around, let it follow its own path, and let me change the angle so that I can take a photo in here. I'll change it to a timer so that I can push the battery and then it can take a picture. Let me reduce the shutter speed further. So I have a touch shutter in here, so I will touch this object and it will click a photo. Okay, so as you can see, the battery moved and I had touched this battery, so this battery has not moved, so it is quite clear. But if I try to zoom in the other battery which was moving, it is quite blurry, and that is what I mean when I say capturing the motion. So in this case, use of the battery moving around is of no use, but let's say you are trying to create um or capture the lights of a car moving around. In the end, what you will see is a red or blue or whatever the color of the light is following a path, and that is what you can use it for. The other place where you can use a slower shutter is, let's say you have a very dark scene and you want to capture more light. So let me give that example as well. So I'm reducing the shutter speed or increasing the exposure time. So now it says, now when you see the double inverted commas, it means it is 1 second, but you can see on the screen that the image is very bright. So I will reduce the ISO, about which I will be talking in another video, and let me make it to 100, and the scene is still bright, so let me increase the aperture. Okay, and I'll not add the second battery, but I'll just click. So it is going to capture and it will expose it for about 1 second. So now if you can see here, now the image is a bit dark because although the exposure time was 1 second, the overall parameters were not good from a lighting perspective. So I had increased the aperture, I had reduced the ISO, but if I take another picture, so let me try to change the aperture. So f/8 is kind of okay, and all other parameters being same, this time the photo would turn out to be different. Now as you can see, this photo versus the other photo, so I did not change anything. The only thing I changed is the aperture. The shutter speed was constant. So as you can see in my previous video, I had talked about aperture and it can add or reduce light. So this is what aperture does to your photo if shutter speed is constant. And if I look at the previous image, then it does add motion as well. So let me show you another example where I'll try to freeze the movement of the battery. So let me change the settings in here. So I am reducing the aperture so that I can capture more light, but I definitely want to reduce the shutter speed or basically freeze the frame. Now I am going on a higher number. So if you see here, I have 200 as the shutter speed. So these are basically a fraction of seconds. So if I say 250, it is like 1 by 250. So that is 1 by 250th of a second. Now that's very fast considering we cannot blink at the rate that the camera can, but the shutters in the modern cameras have become really fast. Okay, so I made it 250. If you can see here, okay, let me press. So this is 250. Let me take the camera a bit forward. So this is 250. The aperture is 3.5. Let me increase the ISO, otherwise the scene or the picture would be too dark. So I made it 1000. Okay, that is still dark, so I'll increase the ISO to about 1600. Okay, so I'll move the camera a bit back so that I can get the object in motion. Okay, so this time again I am going to focus on the middle battery because I'll be moving the other battery from the right to left. Okay, so this time it did freeze the frame. The only thing that it could not do is increase the brightness because my ISO, although it was high, but it wasn't that high. So if you see here, I'll try to zoom in a bit further. Now, if this image was bright enough, you could see the battery clearly. So the freeze that has happened here is somewhat better than the previous one, where the shutter speed value was just 60. So if I increase it further, it is 250. If I make it, let's say 400, this time it would definitely capture. But for that, I'll have to increase the ISO way above. The other option is I could add a secondary light next to the scene somewhere here so that I get more light falling onto the sensor. Okay, so let me bring the camera back a bit. Now, I have a light in the room, but I think from a sensor perspective, it is not enough. So if I do this outside in the daylight, then it would create a different effect, and I may not need a speed of 1 by 400. Okay, so I have my battery in here. I will be again focusing on the same battery in the center, and let me increase the ISO a bit further. Now the image is going to be a bit grainy because the more you increase in the ISO, the more degradation of quality happens on the photo. Again, I'll be talking about it in the next video. So let me touch this object. Okay, so let's see if I was able to freeze. It freeze to an extent, but I think because it is very much closer to the lens, so it is not very clear. Let me move it at a distance. Okay, so this time it's better. Now if I preview the photo, if you can see in here, if you see here, this is the battery in the center and this is the battery that was rolling. Now if I did this with a value of, let's say, 60 or 30, this would be a very hazy image and you might see it streaking across this point to this point. But with a shutter speed of 1 by 400, the battery has definitely come out kind of frozen in time, and although it was moving because you saw it on the camera, but in the photo it does not look to be moving. So this is one use of, or rather the second use of, shutter speed, basically to freeze the motion. Now where do you use these type of shutter speeds? Basically, if you are into sports photography or if you are trying to capture action, let's say kids playing or people jumping across steps or playing games, let's say football, or if you're watching tennis, all those events or all those games are played at very high speeds. So in these situations, you might want to use a higher shutter speed or a higher value that you see on the screen. So let's say 1 by 400, or in this case, it just appears as 400. So you could increase it to 500, 640, 800, and so on. Let's say you have a plane that is moving across the sky. If you use a shutter speed of, let's say, 100 on the viewfinder, you wouldn't be able to capture the plane very clearly. But if you use, let's say, 500, a value of 500, then you will definitely be able to see the plane very clearly. So that's one use. The other use is, let's say you're watching a car race or a rally where a lot of cars are going around, there's a lot of dust and a lot of people are moving around. If you were to use a slower shutter, you probably would not see a car, or you'll only see dust and some colorful lines across the photo. So in those cases, you can use a very higher value. And likewise, if you want to use a lower shutter speed or a lower value on the viewfinder, then it is mostly at night. Like if you are doing astrophotography, you want to capture the stars or star trails, as you can see on the screen. So in those cases, if you expose your sensor for a longer duration, you would be able to capture more light and your image would be a better one compared to a low light situation. So if you're watching stars at night and you want to capture those stars, then you definitely have to increase your exposure time, exposure for your sensor. It could be like 3 seconds, 4 seconds. And for example, star trails, people do capture it for 5 seconds or 10 seconds. When you're trying to capture the Milky Way photos, again, you can go to 5, 10, 12 seconds based on some formulas. So that's where you use a slower shutter speed. Again, there is another example of light trails, or basically when cars are zipping by, as you can see in the photo above. So in those cases, you can use a lower shutter speed. And the third one, which I said is common to both scenarios, is basically to add or reduce light. So in daytime, if you are using a shutter speed of 500, assume that you have enough sunshine outside, and if the scene looks too bright, now going beyond 500 should not be a problem, because even if you go to a value of 800, the benefit would be there wouldn't be that much light. So even though the sun is bright and there is a lot of light, you can reduce that brightness by increasing the value. So that's the third indirect benefit of shutter speed. Okay, so this was a short overview of what shutter speed does to your photos. In the next video, I'll be talking about ISO, which is the third aspect of the exposure triangle. I hope you like this video. Again, thanks for watching this video. Do subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next topic.